Welcome back to Foot in Mouth. I'm going to start off by quoting Ian Wright and saying, it's a great day. Oh, it's a great day, especially if you're an Arsenal fan, because last night, the scenes, brother, all over Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Eberechi Eze to Arsenal. Here we go. It's the year we go that Spurs fans been waiting days for, maybe even weeks, considering how long Spurs have been working on this deal. It just lit the place up. I've never seen a signing unite a fan base like this Eze deal. Probably not since Mesut Ozil's transfer. And I just love it. I'm so happy right now, bro. This is a player. I was desperate to see Arsenal hijack this move. I understood why they didn't, because we do have Ethan Nwaneri, who just extended his deal. We've got Max Dauman coming through the ranks. So competition in that side of the pitch at Arsenal, it's pretty tough. But it just made all the sense in the world for him to go to Spurs. They haven't got Madison, who's out with the ACL. They haven't got Kulusevski. The player had apparently agreed terms with Spurs and he was keen on the move. The club had apparently agreed a deal with Crystal Palace. And somehow, in a matter of hours, Andrea Berta, who, by the way, signing of the season in his own right, bro. In a matter of hours, it came right after the unfortunate news about Kai Havertz being injured. We don't know how long he's going to be out for, but that injury looks like it sparked Arsenal into kicking things into high gear, and they've pulled off the hijack of the century, bro. It's a signing that Spurs fans were throwing in Arsenal fans' faces for a while now. David Ornstein even reported that Arsenal are not in pursuit of Eberechi Eze. Spurs, they literally bottled the one-horse race. It's the most Spurs thing to happen. And when you consider that earlier on in this transfer window, they bottled an actual here we go for Morgan Gibbs-White, this is up there with worst transfer windows of the season. I feel like Newcastle still take the cake there, because Spurs luckily do have players like Polinia and Kudus who came in. But you bottled an actual here we go. And then you bottled a one-horse race for one of the best players in the Premier League, who you had in the palm of your hands, bro. But when you're big, you're big. It just took one phone call from Arsenal for Eze to apparently tell his agent to cut all comms with Spurs. And we got the here we go. Dude, I could honestly make a whole episode about Eze to Arsenal, but I'll end it here. I will just reiterate that this is one of the best players in the league, okay? He's 27 years old, so he is primed to walk into any starting 11 in the league. I'm just glad that it's Arsenal starting 11 he's walking into. He brings leadership qualities. He wears the armband at Crystal Palace, and he's a winner. Okay, he's lifted 2 trophies with this club in the last few weeks, last few months. He's bringing all that and then some to Arsenal. He's going to help Arsenal break down low blocks, which is, I think, partly why we signed Madueke. I think Madueke also helps there. Eze is kind of what we hope Madueke can develop into eventually. But for now, at least, we've got Eze, brother, at 20... This is only a good signing. It's a great signing. It's a signing of the season. I'm saying it now. This is the signing of the season, but this is a needle mover. And look, that being said, I still don't think that it makes Arsenal outright favorites for the league. I just think that it does get us much closer to being favorites. So it's a needle mover of note. It's the signing that Arsenal fans especially needed. And I just cannot wait to see him in that Arsenal kit with that number 10 on the back, bro. And I can't wait to see him score against Spurs. I'm pretty sure we'll see a repeat of the picture. You'll see it in the thumbnail. Pretty sure you saw the picture doing the rounds all over social media where he was laughing after scoring against Spurs. Him redoing that in an Arsenal kit, bro, it's going to hit like crack, brother. It's going to be a moment of all moments. And yeah, I'm just so happy right now. Eberechi Eze to Arsenal. It is a year we go. And, bruh, there are levels to the Spurs fans, When you're big, and this, I think, was just the epitome of little brothering someone. It's you hijacked the transfer from your biggest rival. It doesn't get much sweeter than that, especially when it's a player of this caliber. So let me know what you guys think about this transfer in the comments below. We got to get into the football though, because we got a big weekend of football. But I'll stay with Spurs. I'll stick with them because they've got a big fixture, and it's unfortunate for them considering they've just taken an L in the transfer market. I think they're going to take another big L this weekend when they go to the Etihad and lose to Manchester City. It's a game that often brings a lot of goals with it. I think Man City coming off the back of a 4-0 thrashing of Wolves last week. And considering where Spurs are probably at mentally, I think they're a little bit deflated with this news that's just come about for Eze. So I think more than ever, Man City are favorites here. I'm looking at that Manchester City attack, bro. Erling Haaland, absolutely in the groove of goal scoring again. I think you look at Reinders, how he looked against Wolves. He looked very, very good. You look at Cherky, who came off the bench and made an impact with a goal. I think you look at James Trafford in goal. I think Man City looks solid at the back. Man City or Manchester City, there's nothing we can say about this club that hasn't already been said about this club. And yeah, I think at the Etihad, you're probably not looking at another 4-0 win, but maybe a 4-1, 5-1 maybe. One can hope. I do like Thomas Frank. I do like what he has done with the Spurs side so far in his very short time being there, as much as I hate to say it. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a smack back to reality for Spurs on the pitch, bro. They got one in the transfer market. Now they're going to get one on the pitch. Manchester City winning this all day. Another big fixture we have this weekend, a grudge match, if you will. It's Newcastle at home to Liverpool. The Alexander Isaac derby. He's not going to be playing in the game, obviously, but when you consider the drama between these two clubs and these two fan bases, this whole transfer window, I think it's going to get messy, bruv. Newcastle, no pushovers on their day, especially at St. James Park. I've said before, I think they have one of the best midfield trios in the league. I think that they've got some really good players there, even though they have had some bad luck in the transfer market. But I just think that this game it's going to be one for the ages. It really is. Newcastle's fans are absolutely going to be the 12th man here. Like I said, they are not at all happy with Liverpool fans or this Liverpool club, considering how they've been unsettling Alexander Isaac. And they're going to miss him. They're going to need Isaac here. When we saw these two teams play against each other in the Carabao Cup final, Alexander Isaac is a very massive reason why Newcastle ended their trophy drought and won the tournament. So they're going to be very annoyed that he's not there. But at the same time, I think his absence is really going to unify this Newcastle team and the fans. One thing I like about Newcastle, I think there's a lot of cohesion between the fans and the players. I think the players are going to feed off of that fan energy, and they are going to get physical, bro. I'm looking at someone like Florian Wirtz, and I'm wondering how much joy he's going to have against these midfielders. They are not going to take it easy on him, you know. We've seen players get battered and bruised at St. James Park before. I think this week we're going to see much more of it, bro. I'm not counting Liverpool out at all by any means. Obviously, going forward, they are a threat. They are coming up against a defense that's decent. You know, it's a decent defense. It's definitely better than the defense that they came up against Bournemouth. But I think Liverpool, going forward, you can never count them out. They've obviously got Ekitike, who looks amazing. They've got Mo Salah, who is inevitable. And they've got a solid defense of their own. But that being said, I'm leaning towards Newcastle, and I'm actually going to give the win to Newcastle here. Obviously, I'm being quite biased. I'm hoping that Liverpool can drop points. I do want to see them drop points because they are title favorites. They are a big stumbling block between Arsenal and the Premier League title. So them dropping points here early would be very much appreciated. And I think, look, even the logical side of me says that it can be done. Newcastle are a good side, and they have all the incentive to get a win here and really, really leave their mark on these Liverpool players. Like I said, I think it's going to get physical. I think there's going to be bullies on the pitch. Obviously, wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool win this. On paper, they are the better side. But I just think you look at the energy that that's going to be at St. James Park, bro. I think that place is going to be hostile as ever for Liverpool. And I think that the Newcastle players they're gonna thrive in it, bro. They are absolutely gonna thrive in it. So I'm hoping that I'm right about this prediction. I wasn't very wrong about many I think last week I only got 2 or 3 predictions wrong. Good start for me. So yeah, I think that this weekend we're gonna get a little bit of an upset here. Monday night at St. James Park could be tough for Liverpool, bro. And for that reason, I'm leaning towards a Newcastle win. Let me know in the comments below. Am I crazy? Am I getting ahead of myself here? Or do I have a point? We got an actual derby this weekend, a London derby. West Ham at home to Chelsea. Dad, if you're watching, please switch off because I'm not going to say very good things about West Ham right now. But they look shit. They looked so bad against Sunderland, where they were embarrassed by losing 3-0. And it's probably the worst time for them to take on Chelsea. I think Chelsea didn't have a lot of joy coming out with a 1-0 draw against Crystal Palace. But I think that's more credit to how Palace played than it is criticism on how Chelsea played. I think this game for them, perfect for Chelsea. This is exactly what they want. They need to obviously show a little bit more. They had a decent preseason. They're obviously coming off the back of a Club World Cup win. So confidence, I think, is still decent. But yeah, it wasn't the best showing against Crystal Palace, and that was at home. I just don't think that West Ham is anything of a fortress at home. But look, Graham Potter used to coach Chelsea. He's got incentive of his own to get a result here and upset them a little bit. I just think Chelsea have the quality to overcome that. And as much as I'd love to see an upset here, everything says that this is going to be a Chelsea win, bro. I think Cole Palmer is going to have a great opportunity to finally end that open play goal drought. He obviously hasn't scored an open play goal since January in the Premier League, so good opportunity for him to put that to bed. I think João Pedro could probably show up a little bit more. He looked very exciting in the build-up to this Premier League season. So there's opportunity for Chelsea to make a bit of a statement here and kind of really kickstart their season. And yeah, for that reason, I think I'm going to have to begrudgingly go with a 2-0 Chelsea win. Fulham at home to Manchester United. I'm going to say it now. I think this is going to be a little bit of a return to default settings for Man United. I think they looked good against Arsenal last week at Old Trafford. I think this week, oh man, I want to say Fulham are going to take a win here, or it'll be a draw. But you know, Manchester United going forward, fantastic. I think that front three look scary, bro. I think Mbeumo and Cunha, those guys are destined to get lots of goals this season with how they play. They're not coming up against a defense that's nearly as good as Arsenal's defense, so they'll have a lot more freedom going forward. I don't think Fulham are pushovers by any means, you know, and the head-to-head between these two clubs, Man United often do come out on top. But Fulham do have a chance to cause a little bit of an upset here. You know, they haven't got much going for them in terms of attack or defense, but what they are is a solid team, and that can be enough to frustrate bigger clubs from time to time. So I'm hoping that Fulham can pull something off here and upset Man United. I just think that Man United, as much as I said, yeah, return to default settings, they'll still have enough about them to get a win here. I just think that the performance may temper expectations a little bit more because their fans were running wild after that Arsenal performance. And look, they'll be playing up against a club where they're not going to have to bypass that midfield like they did against Arsenal with all these overhead balls. They'll have a lot more control in the middle of the park, I think, this time around. So it could absolutely add a new dynamic to this Man United attack. Fulham, they're going to have their work cut out for them, trying to hold off that Mbeumo and Cunha because those guys are just non-stop going forward and they have so much pace about them. So it's going to be tough for Fulham. I think United will edge it though, just about. And I'm going to go with the United 2-1 win. I think Benjamin Sesko should start this fixture. I think his physicality, his athleticism, his height, his ability to link up play between players like Cunha and Mbeumo, I think it's going to be crucial to anything United do this season. This is a good opportunity for him to get for us all as fans to get a real glimpse of how that dynamic could work. You know, he had a decent cameo against Arsenal. I only say decent because he didn't look as bad as Gyökeres. But yeah, I think that this is a big opportunity for him and for United to get a much needed win. Just to keep fans a little bit happy. You know, like I said, they ran with it based on the performance last week. They need to follow that up with a win, I think. So yeah, I think United are going to win this one. Let me know in the comments below if you think that they could drop points. But yeah, I'm United all day. Arsenal, I think, are set to have the biggest win of the weekend. We are at home to Leeds. I think this is exactly what Arsenal need. There were a lot of doubters and naysayers based on the performance at Old Trafford, which I think is so laughable because Arsenal never look good at Old Trafford. But the fact that so many people are honestly trying to say that Arsenal are out of the title run and Gyökeres is going to be a flop, because of that game, you do not know ball at all, my friend. If you are watching this and that's genuinely your opinion based on the first game of the season at a ground that Arsenal have only got 6 wins in total, you don't know what you're talking about, bruv. It was a smash and grab when you see it all the time. It's not at all a reflection of how Arsenal are going to play this season. And I think that this game is going to be the first sign of what is in store for Arsenal this season. I think you're going to see a much more free-flowing attacking game. There may be a low block that we have to contend with, so it's going to be a nice chance to see how we deal with that. You know, it's going to be a problem that we come into a lot this season. So I think Leeds, they're not going to be trying to go forward. They're going to stay on the back foot. But Arsenal have the quality, bruh. We've got the quality. I think you're going to see a much better showing from Victor Gyökeres. I'm going to say now Victor Gyökeres gets a brace in this fixture. I think Victor Gyökeres gets a brace. I think he's going to bully that back line. I think that someone like Bukayo Saka is going to have a much better performance. I think our midfield is going to come alive in this fixture because they're going to have so much more time on the ball. Yeah, it's got Arsenal win written all over it, bro. And all due respect to Leeds, you know, I just think it's gonna be an embarrassing one. It's gonna be a lot of goals. I think Arsenal win this one 4-0. I'm gonna even 5-0, bro, but 4-0 at least. It's gonna be crazy. And if we do end up announcing Eberechi Eze's transfer before that deal, and if he is unveiled on this day, not necessarily to play, but if we see Eze walk out into that pitch with that number 10 kit, I think the fans are gonna literally just come alive. players are going to feed off of that energy, and Leeds are going to stand no chance, bruh. So yeah, I'm going Arsenal. Biggest win of the weekend, 4-0. I'd like to see Madueke start this game, actually. There were reports this week that Saka was training on the left, which means that there's every chance Madueke can start on the right, which is his more favored position. And I can't lie, I love the idea of Saka on the left wing. I definitely do. So far, we've seen him punishing teams by cutting in from the right and shooting on his left. If he starts on the left, he's in a much better position to offer quality crosses in for someone like Victor Gyökeres or someone like Declan Rice with his late bombing runs into the box. You know, we could have a lot of joy with Bukayo Saka playing on the left wing, and it does fix that massive problem which we've got. Oh dude, the left side of Arsenal's team just always looks so dead, and it's so frustrating. So if the answer is to have Saka play there, then so be it. I'm happy with that, but I do think that in the long run that's probably going to be Eze's place to lock down. But if Saka does play on the right, then it's a good opportunity for someone like Martinelli or Trossard to give Arteta something of a selection headache. If they can put in a decent performance on the left and start to build momentum, then it's a nice problem for Arsenal to have, if we're being honest. But yeah, regardless of how we line up, this is an Arsenal win. Crystal Palace at home to Nottingham Forest, who obviously had that big win against Brentford. I love what I saw from Crystal Palace against Chelsea. Absolutely love it. They're not going to have Eze, though, for this game, which I think is going to hurt them like a lot, especially when you consider that Nottingham Forest, full strength, all the momentum with them after that big win against Brentford. They've done some of the best work in the transfer window this season, I think. So far, it's not even over. They may do even more. But yeah, as things stand, I love Crystal Palace. The fact that they're at home does give them a big advantage. So instinct tells me to say Forest win. But at the same time, considering what we've seen from this Palace side, and I have said on the show before not to underestimate them, so I'm not going to fall victim of that myself. I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to say this is a draw. I'll say this will be a 1-1 draw, but I wouldn't be surprised if Forest do actually steal the win in the end. Bournemouth at home to Wolves. Wolves hiding last week out. Bournemouth looked really good against Liverpool, even in defeat. Even while they were 2-0 down, they looked solid. I think they held their own for about 80 minutes of the game. I said before, you put in that performance against most other teams in the league, you're going to have no problem picking up wins. I think this is going to be a clear example of that. I'm going with a generally comfortable Bournemouth 2-0 win. Anton Semenyo, someone that I definitely need to throw into my FPL because he looked amazing against Liverpool. He was my player of the week then. I think he's probably going to have a player of the week shout for his performance in this game. And yeah, Wolves, they'll try. They've obviously got a better opportunity of getting some goals here than they did against Man City. I just don't think it's going to happen. The fact that Bournemouth looked as good as they did against Liverpool, yeah, I can't look past them for this one. Brentford at home to Villa. Brentford didn't have any joy against Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa didn't have any joy against Newcastle in the first week, and they managed to get a 0-0 draw with 10 men against Newcastle. Brentford just looked poor. Just looked absolutely poor in their 3-1 defeat to Forest. So I think probably a decent fixture for Aston Villa to get a point, to get 3 points rather. I am predicting Aston Villa win here. They're going to need it. You don't want to start off your season with a draw with 10 men and a loss. So they're going to need to get a result here. And I think that they've got enough about them, to be honest. I think that they are going to be on a bit of a high. Morgan Rogers obviously just won his Young Player of the Year award at the PFAs. So he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. I think probably set to have a decent performance in a game like this. And yeah, I think Villa are going to win this one. Let's say 1-0. 1-0 Villa. Burnley take on Sunderland at home. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I think based off of what we saw from Sunderland against West Ham and based off what we saw of Burnley versus Spurs last week, this is a Sunderland win for me. I think Granit Xhaka has done amazingly at that club, albeit it's just one game. But I think this is the perfect game for Sunderland to, again, momentum. You know what I mean? You just had that big win against West Ham. Now you have a game against someone that's much more on your level quality-wise. I think head-to-heads, there's not much really separating the two. But when you consider how Sunderland moved in this transfer window and that win against West Ham, this is Sunderland all day. I'm saying 2-0 Sunderland. I don't know if you could tell, but I think that this weekend's going to have a lot of goals. Same like last week, more goals than last weekend. And it's going to continue in the next fixture I talk about, which is Everton at home to Brighton. Because these two teams, there's always goals in this fixture. I don't think either of them look particularly amazing. Everton lost to Leeds in the penalty last week. Brighton, they're Brighton. They're up and they're down and they're up and they're down, but they've always got it in them. However, I think, first home game for Everton in their new stadium at the in the Premier League season. A lot of expectations this season for them to do a lot better than last season. And as much as this is a good opportunity for them, I think that they're going to cancel each other out. And I think there will be goals, though. I'm going to go 2-2 here. And then that does it for the fixtures this weekend. Let me know let me know in the comments your predictions for the fixtures. Also, let me know what you're doing in the FPL, because I cannot stress enough how much I need the help. I'm desperate to avoid a back-to-back below average points week. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I should probably stock up on Arsenal players because they're playing against Leeds, easy team. I should probably stock up on Man City players because they're playing against Spurs, easy team. So maybe that's the answer. Let me know what I should do. Who should I be looking at? Is there a player that may be going under the radar that you think could probably get a decent amount of points this week? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys, as always, for watching the video. Don't forget to give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already for more content. And I'll catch you in the next one.